Hey class, this is Nick from Iowa State University, and I got a continuation of a tutorial for you. We're talking about how to draw a section from a set of orthographic plans. And if you look at the drawing here, you can see where we left off. So we got a plan that we drew. We've got our section lines here, and we've got the elevations that we projected off of this plan, and these are the construction lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to organize a drawing so that we can generate our section drawing. And so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those lines. Go ahead and move this elevation. Let me see, ortho's on here. And rotate it. Oh, shoot. Yeah, we'll just do this anyway. Didn't give myself enough room. Okay, so I got I lost a piece. Just fix it. There we go. Okay, so I got my plan here, and to draw a section, you want to project up from the section line anything that it touches, right? That's the stuff that it cut, and that's going to get projected up to start the section. Okay, and then from that you're gonna take the lines from the elevations. And then you're going to use those to generate the horizontal. So this is kind of similar to the process of creating elevations from the last assignment. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and move this into position. I lost another. I keep losing pieces of these things. Come on back. Okay. Pardon me. Okay, so this is my section line, so I'm going to project this one up. I'm actually going to go ahead. Well, I'll make the ground line first, and then I will I'll work on that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 6 and by layer. Okay, so this is my ground that I'm going to use to draw my section, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this whole mess over here, just because I want to use it for my other section. So I'm going to go ahead and get that one ready. My other section is this one here, so I'm going to go ahead and I think I want to cut it this way. So I'm going to move that. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my 0 layer, make that current. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and project those lines up. So I've got the things that I cut are going to be, here. So I'm going to go ahead and elevate this line. Whoa, I just rotated my view there. Okay. Yep. And so I cut the partition wall. Oops. I actually have it's not aligned, so that's not good. Gotta be more careful. Here we go. I'm gonna go and turn orthos on. And this doesn't have to be too careful because I'm gonna be cutting these anyway, so I'm kind of working kind of fast here. Okay, and so let's see, I've got these two and they project up, and then I cut through this this opening in the wall, and that's not actually something that I'm cutting, because I'm cutting right now. It's an opening, but then down here it's actually part of the space. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna project these lines anyway, because but then I'm gonna trim it later. So really, I mean, I'm back on the Mac side here because I had some bugs with the PC, but you can see if I had this design, so there are some things I don't. So if I had this elevation in my kit, I could figure out what the height of where my section line is going to intersect this and where it's going to intersect this, and I can translate it. But now I'm just going to use the measurement, and I could do that if I had the physical model. I could just take my scale and measure it. And here I'm I'm gonna say basically this is a 20-foot cube. Say this is like 9 feet up to the top from the floor, and I'm gonna say this is maybe 3. Well, there's this gap, and then there's probably 3 feet from this. So this is a pretty small opening. The other thing is the partition, which is actually inside of the space, and I don't have a height for it in any of my drawings. That's actually what a section is really good for. And actually, I drew this piece. Actually, if I look at my digital section, oops, that's the wrong file. Hang on a second here. Oh, lost it. This one, yeah. If I look at my digital file, you can kind of see a little bit better. So if this is a door that's like 8 feet, this is about 9 feet. This is if it's a 20-foot cube. Let's see. I might call it 13 or 14. I would actually be able to measure this. Okay, so let me go ahead and let's actually look at the elevations first, and then we'll come and bring those measurements in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring across the roof. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring across the clear story piece. And then let's see here. And then I'm going to go ahead. So I've got my outside walls. I've got the clear story piece. And then remember I said that the one wall was offset 9 feet. And then 3 feet from the top. Okay. Now something you can do with this, while you're working with it, is you can just use another color, and you can use these lines, and then you can just use the other color on top of them to actually show the pieces that you want to keep. So it's a good way of doing this without actually deleting the construction lines that you drew. You can use the construction line tool, but I find it kind of cumbersome. The construction lines, we use these in the elevation, demo. I don't know. This is maybe a little bit messier, but it's easier for me to control than to have the lines crossing everywhere. Remember, the parapet actually goes out a foot in both directions. I mean, we're cutting through this plan. I mean, sorry, this elevation. We're just going back further. So what kind of passes here should actually pass here? So just you do offset 1 foot. Offset 1 foot, and see it starts to line up. And actually, I guess I could have projected off of the overhang line that I created as well. That would also work. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off here. So that's my parapet, and then I've got this piece here, which is the other wall. So I got the 2 thicknesses of walls. I'm actually going to go ahead. Yes, I don't really need this anymore. I don't really need these. Just kind of start to clean some things up a little bit, just to help me kind of figure things. Okay, the parapet we said was about 13 feet. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 13. Oops, offset 13 feet. And I would, if I had this, I would get the exact measurements. So I'm not super careful right now. Okay, oops. Okay, delete that. Delete that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and trim these, and I can take those out. And so I've got this gap. I'm gonna go ahead and draw some lines in there. So when I cut this, I am actually like shifting, back in space. So I cut it, but then I'm still looking at it going in this direction. And I actually noticed that I didn't really have those arrows, my section arrows, right? That sort of explain which way I'm going. So they're pointing this way. So I'm looking, I cut this, and in fact all these should be purple because I did actually cut them. So I'm going to go ahead and go to make them a 5. And then this is actually further back. And actually, these would probably be a green. So they are in there. Okay, and since I know that I basically am doing this drawing in a cut, what I can do is in the back of the building, if you look at the drawings, so there's this underhang here, and it's actually got this kind of clear story row. Yeah, like this. The wall gets in the way here, but then you've actually got the clear stories kind of showing up here. So I'm going to go ahead and project that. The other thing we don't want to forget is the doorway. And we can get the doorway from the plans. I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I've got the drawing of the section kind of already, but I just want to kind of show you what you're supposed to get. Okay, so let me go ahead and offset this 8 feet, and we'll just go ahead with the doorway in the drawing. I'm gonna do a fillet of radius 0. Just clean this up. For some reason it's not filleting. Well, let's trim it. Weird. Never had that happen before. Let's go ahead and trim. And this is the ground anyway, so yeah, and that's actually copied, so that's fine. Okay, and then this we'll pull this back to a red. Okay. Oh yeah, and then so and I actually screwed this up here. I'm gonna show you a little trick here. There's a command. I'm gonna hide this. There's a command called stretch. And you can just kind of, it lets you edit stuff pretty quickly. And in fact, since this is a section, I know that I actually there's a cut here. You really want this to read as one thing. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and trim these. And I'm going to let this kind of flow through here. That's going to be important later. Turn my greens back on. I am going to go ahead, and since I know that these are the same ones, I am going to go ahead and copy them from the edge of this wall. And then that's going to give me, and you can see how this talks to, this, and then we'll go ahead and trim these up. And then trim that edge. There. Okay. So then this is actually, we have our section. Alright, so we got this section. Let's go ahead and see about the other section. Okay, so same idea. We're on the 0 layer. We're going to go ahead and project our lines. We're going to start with the things that we have cut. Those are the most important things. So we cut, in this case we cut the door. We also cut the wall up here. Okay. And then we go ahead and start projecting some lines off of the elevation. We don't have a lot of lines to start with, but we can actually borrow some from the other section that we cut, like all the way over here. In fact, I already got my elevations. I'm going to go ahead and kill these. And we're going to go ahead and move this over. Orthographic projection is really useful for constructing drawings, but it's also, for thinking about, your design. And one of the principles in architecture, right, is carrying different lines across a design, across different walls. So in this case, like, if I know what this, like, I know what this height is, or I know what the height of something internally is, I can use that. I can use that dimension when I design. So it's not just trying to make this drawing for the sake of making the drawing. It's actually thinking about how the space works. All right, so I would go ahead and project these up, and let's see, yeah, because the walls are different here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, and so I've actually cut this door, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm looking at it this way. So I would see this edge of the door, and I'm actually going to see. So the door is actually here. So I'm going to take this across. Let's see here, and let's go ahead and kind of fix that so that we don't get confused. I'm going to go ahead. Let's see if I cut it. Go to my cut layer here. So I cut these two lines here, and the other cut is going to be the overhead, which is this, and then the other piece is going to be this. And actually, I'm in this part of the design, so I'm looking at it. Actually, I don't have that side elevation, but I do know that on this side, I'm going to be seeing it. I'm going to have the parapet. And so this is actually, let's go take a look. So this is the cut I'm making in the model. So you can see it goes across the door. It's going to go across the lintel. It's going to go through those little mullions here, across this, and then there is the clear story kind of gap, and then it slices to the wall and keeps going. So I know that there's that gap, so I would go ahead and translate. I can translate a line across from my section anyway. It's the same height, and just use that to figure out, pardon me, what this is here. Okay. Go ahead and delete this here. I always try to clean these up as I go. They get a little confusing otherwise. Still there. That one is done. Okay, and then for the doorway, so I cut this. That's a 5, and then I'll probably make it a 4 for now, with the rest of the lines. So that is going to be my door. Ground's going to win in that one. Okay, so it's my door, and I can probably go ahead and try to kill these. Okay. This I actually need to probably carry across, because I'm still gonna, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. There, okay. Got the wall here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start working on that. So the wall goes, it's actually just this piece right here, and then it starts to become this kind of clear story. So I'm going to go ahead and resolve it this way. So I'm going to project the wall up and project the lintel across. And that is also indeed something that I cut. So it's going to get cut. Oops, I had the wrong layer here. And that's a cut. Okay. Okay, so I can go ahead and clean this up. The other thing that's interesting is that I've got this kind of piece in the back that's a reveal. So I will probably, I'll make that. It is actually, so there's an edge in the back, which is this wall, which does kind of keep going, and then there is actually a gap in that wall in the back, and I'm going to go ahead and trim these lines here. And again, I'm just going to kind of click and stretch these. It's a little bit easier than deleting them. Okay, so now I can read that as it drops back. And let's see, what else am I seeing? I see the partition. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in green, and I've got the lines to do that. Project this up. Go ahead and trim these. As you work, this is going to go a lot faster. Okay, so I got my partition. Now, one thing that I'm not able to really do, I do have this kind of gap in the back, and it's because there's this funky looking kind of piece that I drew. You can kind of see this thing here. So that's going to be something that you might have to trace in CAD, and that's something you can talk to your professor about, or you can talk to your TA if you got something like that. I'm just kind of going to wing it here with a spline tool. This is not always recommended, but I'm just going to kind of fake it. It's just kind of excuse me, just kind of organic shape. So it's not really something that's kind of measurable. And I'm going to go ahead and, this is inside the space. This is the back wall. I don't know. We'd have to see what it looks like when we print it. I'm not quite sure hierarchically what I want that to be quite honest with you. Okay. So the next thing I would do is, oops, I deleted my piece. I'm going to go ahead and just stretch this back. So this is going to be my back wall, and that's a green. Go ahead and trim this up. Looking pretty good. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to finish off with the mullions. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm on the let's do it in white for now. Mullions are these guys, which is what I cut as I went across. So I'm going to go ahead and project these. If the other things start getting in your way, you can always turn off the layers temporarily. It's not that big of a deal. And I don't have the exact measurements here, so I am going to kind of go ahead and kind of fudge this. But I know that there is a let's go ahead and take a quick measurement of this just to figure out. This is a 3-inch piece, and I know that these are on center, so I am just going to go ahead and offset this 1.5 inches. And so that is the mullion that's behind it. And I know that these are the same cross section. They're mostly horizontal. So actually my mullion is the piece that crosses here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in because it's a cut, so that gets purple. Very, very tiny purple. Okay, and then I can get rid of these finally. And you can see the proportion here. It's 1 to 2 to 1. That is by design. And by the way, this is not a very good design. This is just something I put together that has a lot of different properties, but it's not by any means like a great project. So don't think that that's necessarily something you want to emulate. Okay, offset, and offset command is already set up with 1.5 inches, so I can just press enter and then just make my offset. And then I'll go ahead and do this, go back to my red. I'm not going to go through the process of kind of tuning the line weights because it's just honestly not something that we really have time for here. I kind of leave that exercise up to you. In this design, I think I've got 5 in the front, and I want to say I only do 3 on this side. I need to verify. I only do 3. I actually drop a midline, and it's because I want there to be more of a grain going across this way. So in that case, it's just a midpoint on this, which actually should line up, yes, properly with this. And in fact, I guess I could just offset it. Okay. I was going to try to do something fancy, but it's not going to work. 1. All right, so that should do it. Let's see. We got the door. We got the wall going behind. We've got the mullion kind of running across. We got the partition. We got the little cutout. Yeah, not too bad. Let's take a look at these in the plot really quick. Let's go over to scale. I think these want to be gotta make sure that I'm even in the right neighborhood here. I think these want to be quarter scale. Yeah, they want to be quarter scale. Let's see if I can get these side by side. Okay, we'll go back to the plans here. Just for the sake of like looking at them. Okay, better. Let's just preview it. Yeah, not too bad. Good. You can see this section. So ground, cut, 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 cut. And so here's your door that you cut, and then here's this. Here you can see the mullions a little bit better. These are a little tight. I would probably adjust those slightly because they are kind of doubling up. But you don't really know until you print. I like how this kind of pops out. Very nice. This kind of pulls back. This I might represent a little bit differently. I might even remove the door, even though the door is kind of swinging. Or, you know, like in my actual design that I drew in the plan, I did actually have it out. So maybe that, because I don't read the space very well. I'm not really happy about that. I really want to read the fact that you can swing into that space there. So I would go back and revisit that in the drawing. But not too bad. Like that's a pretty good first shot. There's usually a lot more problems than that. Let's go ahead and hide this. And let's go ahead and hide this. And I think these want to be, just for the sake of legibility, they want to be orange. And I am actually going to go ahead and kill that. Even though it's a swinging door. And then I'm going to go ahead and extend these lines down. I can do this, and then I can change the draw order of this to send it to the front, and that's less work for me. Yep. Okay, let's go back to that. Yeah, I like that better. I mean, that's, even though there's a doorway there, I like being able to see that. And this is cleaner. I think if I actually looked at it, yeah, it's still a little, I don't know. I would look at that. I would experiment with that. It might be easier to fix in Illustrator because you don't have to make a new plot style table. But it does show what needs to be shown. This would be good for doing light studies. It definitely starts to talk about the thicknesses and the hierarchy of the space. Yeah, not too bad. All right, so I've done that. That's an example. The other thing you can do with it is poche it, and poche, as we talked about, is a French word for pocket, and it's actually the way that we represent space a lot of the times in architecture, as a as like a dark solid, and it helps improve contrast, which helps us read space. I'm gonna go ahead and copy these, and we can talk about poche. If you've done your job and everything is kind of clearly modeled, everything's kind of closed, doing poche with a hatch is pretty easy in AutoCAD. I'm going to go ahead and hide layers here. Maybe go ahead and hide the ground too. Okay, so you can do the hatch command, and it says pick an internal point or select objects. AutoCAD's actually pretty good anymore. You can just click carefully inside of an object, and it will fill that object. And then you press escape when you're done. Easy peasy. All right. Let's go ahead and plot. What does that look like? Actually, I want to go to layout view. And I'm just going to pan up here. Plot. Okay. So it's different, but especially at a distance, it reads extremely clearly, right? You're really high contrast, and it looks like solid material, and that is the point of poche. I noticed I just actually missed these here. I should have filled those in. That's a nice thing about poche too, is that you don't have to be really finicky with line weights, because they're going to be filled in anyway. So it's not about how heavy they are or they aren't. So let's go ahead. Oh, I know why I didn't do it, because those are on the orange layer now. Aha. Hatch. The other way you can hatch is just to select the object itself. Actually, so it says pick internal point or select objects. Let's do S, and then we'll select them. And did it do it? I don't think it did it. Hatch is, I never really liked hatch that much, because it is kind of finicky. I could just hit select boundary here. Okay. And the hatch. Okay. And then press enter. Oh, and you know what? I think I was actually filling it in because I was actually on the purple layer, even though I was. So my hatch is actually purple. Oh, and you should notice something too. This actually says something. So hatch usually fills with some kind of a pattern. And what I've accidentally done is I filled it with a diagonal hatch, but really, really fine, really, really tiny. And that's actually kind of a problem. So I'm actually going to back out of this, because I think I went through it a little bit. Yeah, let's actually just go back to the model space, because this also helps us understand hatch a little bit. So hatch becomes this kind of so now it's all one object basically, because I made all the hatches at one time. If I press delete, it's going to delete those. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and move these back onto this layer. Now let's do hatch again. So the hatch tool comes up. You've got your texture here. You can just say solid a lot of the time, and that's just fine. And then we can go ahead and pick, our points. And this is the layer color that it's on. And because we're using black pens, yeah, there it worked. The hatch is black, and it's going to use the weight that you chose. So this is a pretty dark weight, which will be more important later. But right now, solid is just black. It's going to fill it in. The weight doesn't even matter, because it's just going to fill it in. Okay, and if you press enter, that's your poche. That's fine. The other, let's try a variation of this. Let's delete this. Okay, go back to hatch again. Let's go back to that hatch, and you can see the different patterns here. This is the pretty common one. You'll see this a lot. Is this kind of color? What I can do is let's go back. Let's go to like a let's go to this green layer. Which I know is a little weird, but I'm going to go to the green layer, and I'm going to you can see the hatch color changes, and I'm going to go ahead and there's a scale here, and I'm going to pick my points again, but my scale is like a little bit off. So if I play with that number, see, I can multiply it a little bit, I get a totally different pattern. And what you want it to do, if you're doing a hatch like this, what you want to do is you want it to read, but not like overwhelm. And so you got to maybe adjust it. So this is like, it's not completely filled in. It's more of a pattern than a complete fill. Okay, and that is something. And I'm filling it in green because of the line weights, because the weight, like, there's so many lines that it's going to look like a solid fill. But if I used a darker or thicker line like a 5, it's going to overwhelm. So it still has the border, okay, but now these lines are this. And I think if we go to plot, let's actually turn on these other things here. Yep, that's all good. You can see that. So, I mean, that's pretty good, but it's not as dark and kind of dominating as that just solid fill. I am actually a big fan of the solid fill poche, but sometimes you just want to have this kind of tone that's like that, that's a little bit lighter, and that looks pretty good. Hatches are also used for things like brick and for other materials, but we're not really gonna talk about that today. Okay, the other thing you can do is if you export this, you can go into Illustrator and you can use the Live Paint tool in a similar way. And you could always add shadows with it as well. But this should get you through. This is a good way to think about drawing sections, and it's a really powerful and fast method. All right, that does it. I will